I don't know what is going on with that. If that's like a scratch. No, that's definitely coming off. There's like some serious gunk on here. Whoa. I guess that's a good example. That was water at first. See, that would definitely bring down your surface grade. Like, oh, that serious gunk. Like, what is that? Like, you can see it on the Q-tip. It's so much. It's coming off though. But, oh yeah, this is the spot right here. Question is, oh, nice. All three of these liquids would probably clean that up. If you take that out of the equation and it was just gunk, went from like a 5 surface to a 10. Alright, so I've been thinking about cleaning these underground seas I've had for a while. As you can, well, kind of not really see, but here, check it out. Hopefully you can see it like this. Really want to get a digital microscope, but there's definitely a lot of dirt and grime on this vintage underground sea that's revised. It's a set that came right after Unlimited. They revised this card to be like $1,600, double the value. But besides that grime on there, it's pretty minty. It's pretty off-centered. As you can see, the right border's thicker than the left. I slapped it in this Dragon Shield Perfect Sleeve, which is a really bad idea, because that could just mess up your borders. And after like 2 packs of those, I realized it nicked one of the corners, and it's just, sleeves can do a lot of damage. I watched some video on all the damage that they can do just like rubbing together. But it's basically the same dealio. It's kind of hard to tell unless you look at it. I don't have the best camera. I'm using webcam. Spent all my money on magic cards. But you can basically see it's not really picking it up. But there's actually a better way to view this than with my naked eye, because using this thing makes me really dizzy. Because if you don't have it in focus, it's just like blurry, and you just have to get it really close. Kind of strains your eye. I just sent in a 36 card submission doing this with a bunch of cards, and it just like made me really nauseous and really dizzy, and like definitely gonna get a digital microscope. Looks like there's a bunch of like, I don't know what that is, like humidity or something, moisture on my, should probably clean that. So a lot of people recommend using a microfiber cloth. You can use one of these ones that are meant for cleaning cars, but they don't recommend that. This is the better one to use, which are made for like sunglasses. So they won't scratch anything. They're basically scratch proof. So these are the 3 cleaning agents, which I don't have distilled water, but that would be the best option because it's the most pure. It doesn't leave any residue. I'm using just spring water, but these are just cheap, really cheap cards, worth nothing basically. It's got a lot of grime on there for sure. It's definitely a better focus. See what's going on, how jacked up that card looks. I've only cleaned or attempted to clean a card once, and I found it real fast that you definitely don't want to apply any moisture to the sides of the cards, as there's no coating on there and you'll quickly damage the card. So a card that's this gunked up, you're obviously not going to get off anything without any kind of moisture. Some people would say just like kind of like dip your finger in there, then apply it, because you want a very minimal amount of moisture on there. You could dab that too on your paper towel. Like, water is super damaging to cards, even foils. I had a like a drinking bottle that had a pop top, and just that popping mechanism caused it to splash a bunch of water. Not a bunch, but some water on some cards that I had out. And when I closed it, it would splash water too, because it would leave a little bit of water inside the little pocket that would just like cause it to splash. And when I came back after like a minute or two after thinking about it, it had left a tiny little droplet on like a vintage card. It wasn't worth that much. It was like a $5 card, but still, you could obviously see the water damage, like a water spot on the card. And after that, I never used any kind of drinking bottles again. So you can see it's definitely cleaning some of the border there, or just the water. I think water is the best option, because chemicals like alcohol or Windex or that Kurtz cleaning solution is considered altering the card. I guess this would maybe even consider altering the card, but water would obviously not leave any kind of residue. There's a few cleaning products out there where they kind of like buff the cards. Kurtz cleaning card kit is the most popular one, and that uses like a wax, and he's got like another spray, but the spray is apparently like isopropyl alcohol mixed with something else, and I mean, that's actually coming out pretty damn good. You just have to have a lot of patience with it, and like just kind of like rub it back and forth with the wet side, and then kind of come back with the dry side, and just like a lot of rubbing. But just like very gently, and being very patient with it. On the next one, we'll try the microfiber cloth. See if that is any different. And then I'll look under it, the 30 times magnification, which is what they use when they grade cards, to see if it looks any duller or anything, if I removed any kind of coating, or if the edge has any kind of water damage look to it, or fraying. I don't know what if that. Yeah, I think that's just a chip over there on the side. That's not actually gunk. I have to do a before and after picture. And apparently the best way to clean the card is having it down on a penny sleeve underneath it, and a penny sleeve on top. But the thing about the penny sleeves is they will straight up scratch your card too. And I'll make another video on that, like how just like the friction of, if you just like hold the card while it's in the penny sleeve and like push it out from the bottom, that alone can scratch a card. which is crazy. But most of the damage, I mean, most people wouldn't hold it that hard and push it up. Most of the damage comes from nicking the corners on penny sleeves, so even loose ones. So the best thing to do is like cut a corner out of the penny sleeve. Usually you can just tear it with your finger depending on what side is the weakest. That way there's no friction at all when you insert it in. Well, I think that's looking pretty damn good with just water, which is like the route I would take if I just do decide to clean. I mean, you can see, looks like there's a lot of dirt. It's kind of hard to see, but I'm also going to show you what it looks like if you just like straight up soak the side. Let's just do that now. Let's just like soak this Q-tip. Just like totally soak the side, this side. I bet you that dirt will come up a lot easier. That dirt is on there, but it's like a played card from 30 years ago. It's caked on there. Just to show you, it can come off. It's getting lighter. And this Q-tip is like totally soaked with water, which you should definitely not do, but just to show you that the more moisture you have, and then you just want to dry it up like instantly. You can see that damage already. It's kind of hard to see. I'm just gonna like soak the whole side here, just so you can see like what you should not do. Because there's no coating on that side, it just absorbs all the water. I mean, the same would be as if there's like any kind of like nick inside the surface of the card. Just to show you how soaked that thing is. Okay, so let's take a look at the damage I just did that I could potentially do to my $800 card. These are really nice and really cheap too. You can get these, it's like a 2-loop special for like $10 or something. But there's no way you'd use that 60 times or 90 times magnification. It's just like I mean, maybe looking through my camera on my TV, that's the only way I look through that. But there's like, you basically have to put it like straight to the card. Like the more magnified it is, the closer you have to be. Well, it actually works. That's surprising. There's no way you would see that through your eye though, because like you can't even put your eye up close enough to that where you need to see it. Like the 90 times? No. Alright. You can see all that water damage there. Let's hold it straight. Just have to get the right height for these. To the right proportion of distance to the card. 30 times is basically pretty close, but 60 it's like glued to it in order to see. And to where you can actually see the light too. Yeah, that's all that water damage. Okay, so that's what you don't want to do. But if we look at this side that I was actually gentle with, you can see there's still a little bit of dirt there. But besides that, see, that's the perfect focus right there. Where you can see the little cracks on the card, like the crevices. And when people send their cards in to be graded, they usually don't use this tool, but the graders are using this tool. And you should definitely check corners obviously first, and then the edges, centering, and then the surface. Like, you might not be able to see scratches with your naked eye until you use this, But I mean, there's no scratches on this card. Usually the foils scratch really easily. Oh, see, I got some gunk on there that I definitely wouldn't have noticed in the center. So I just sent my first ever submission off to CG. Oh, actually, it's pretty obvious. To CGC. I've never submitted any cards before. And I didn't realize that they didn't wipe down your cards. Like, they'll just encapsulate like a 10 or pristine 10 with a bunch of dust in there with it. Like, there's a tour of their encapsulation process, and the girl with like some really long fingernails, she's like out to here. That's another thing, nails can really mess up your cards. I'm surprised they have her doing that, and they show that on video. There's any nail marks in your cards from CGC, like, you know where it came from. Encapsulation girl. Where's I going with the story? Oh yeah, she's got like a little constant ear duster, and she just like kind of like puts it in front of the card for a second, and then boom, like enough to like get some of it off, but not everything. And if I would have known that, I would have dusted or cleaned off all of my cards. Like when I didn't know what I was doing, like, and just trying to like dust off a card one time, like I was just like going like this one time, and you can feel like coming down on that you're messing up that edge, you're like nicking that. So after that, I didn't really want to dust off my cards, but there's obviously a safe way to do it, and that's why you want to use something smaller like this rather than this, because it's a more controlled surface. And you basically just want to like put your finger in there and make a tight little corner, and just go like the smaller the better. Just do like from the center out. That way you don't have to worry about messing up the edge. And you should definitely do this before you send them in to PSA, like not just to get, or CGC, anyone, not just to get the dust off, but to get the fingerprints off. And there's like little hairs, like tiny little micro hairs that might be in there that I saw while I was, that doesn't look too good on the back, that I saw while I was trying to inspect my cards. At first I was really strict with what I was going to send in, and then I saw like, you know, like both CGC and PSA, if there's a little nick on the back of the card, usually that disqualifies it for a 10. But then I was seeing like, hey, they're pretty lenient with that, and they give a lot of 10s to a lot of those nicked cards. So let's try. Yeah, I don't want to put Windex on my microfiber cloth here. I don't really want to put isopropyl alcohol on it either. Let's go with the Q-tip again, and I'll just try water on another one with the microfiber. Let's try the Windex, I guess, since everyone recommends that one. I thought that was just like a joke method. So everyone's like joking around with how to clean your cards, like put it in the microwave and stuff. Actually, if you go to Wizard's website, they say to clean it with water. And I thought they were like just straight up like, it's from a really old post. I think it was like a 2001 post or something. This is really soaked. So I'm just like, definitely don't want that much liquid on there. It's like the less is more, the least amount that you could possibly have, especially since it has a blue tint to it. I don't know what is going on with that. If that's like a scratch. No, that's definitely coming off. Just gotta kind of like work it for a minute, just very gently. Definitely putting, I don't care, I'm gonna use, definitely don't do that. Rough paper towel. I just don't want to get a Windex on my microfiber cloth. 'Cause that's probably not the technique I'm going to use. I don't want that all over my sunglasses. Well, I don't know what's going on here. There's like some serious gunk on here. Whoa. I guess that's a good example. That was water at first. See, that would definitely bring down your surface grade. Like, that serious gunk. Like, what is that? Like, you can see it on the Q-tip. It's so much. It's coming off though. That just went from from like a 6 surface to a 9. I don't know. That looks like a ding or something. Yeah. See, that's where the danger lies. Because if the card has like a scratch, a little indenture like that, that's where all that moisture can seep into the card. Yeah, that's definitely like a scratch or something. Oh, let's look under it. Magnifying glass. It's not even a magnifying glass. This is a jeweler's loupe. Okay. That is still kind of hard to tell. Let me look at it with my naked eye. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a chunk of the card missing. So you'd probably want to inspect the card first and avoid areas like that, because, you know, that's definitely going to do some water damage to the card pretty fast, since it doesn't have any kind of coating on it. But, oh yeah, this is the spot right here. Question is... Oh, nice. All 3 of these liquids would probably clean that up. This isopropyl is almost evaporated because it's 91%. Here's water again. I just want to see if water's the same on the same kind of gunk, because that was coming off real good with the Windex. I'm sure it'll come off real good with the water too. Yep, it sure does. So why would you want to use Windex if you could use water? Unless Windex was less likely to cause water damage, but I don't think so. Me personally, I would rather just use water. PSA is trying to like come up with ways to detect using the like Kurtz card cleaning kit, because he like straight up has like a polish that you apply like a car wax. And his cards are getting through on the PSA graders, like with a better grade once they get cracked and clean the surface with some of that stuff. But is it really necessary? Probably not. And then you're adding a chemical. Like that would be alteration, in my opinion. Like just a little bit of water cleaning it. Oh, that's not alteration. There's no chemicals involved. It's just water. Oh, another thing I saw too when I was submitting was some of the edges just weren't that crisp on some of the really old cards I had. Like you could see where it was cut, and just like rubbing the edge would make it so much crisper. Because it was like a little bit of residue that was left over, and I'm sure that would increase the grade too, as long as you're careful. I saw like some card cleaning kit, and he included something like that where it's basically like a Q-tip with like a little bit of a different texture to it, and that was basically for just like smoothing out the edges that have that little bit of uneven, like crisp, like I don't know, it's just like how they cut the card, it just wasn't that crisp. Like, this card's pretty good, especially for being an older card from like 1992. 1994 or whatever. Well, I would say it's pretty dang good. Had a lot of gunk on it on this left side here. I mean, that went from like if you take that out of the equation and it was just gunk, went from like a 5 surface to a 10. Let's look at my underground seas. This is something too that you can look at them right through. This is a magnetic one-touch case with a perfect sleeve on it. It's hard to see, but it's sleeved, and you can still evaluate cards pretty good through that. It's not the best, but without having to take them out of all the cases, if you have them in a bunch of magnetic or even top loaders, whatever, if it's sleeved, like right there, boom, we got gunk, dirt. Just trying to find the right, okay, right there too. This thing is very gunked up, but as you can see, the edge is pretty crisp. And let's look at the corner's crisp, no dings. More gunk, or that's maybe just some dust. Crisp. Gunk. Okay, well, we have a little bit of a nick on the bottom there, but still, that's nothing too bad. I mean, those corners are pretty dang crisp. What's going on with that? There's a little something there. It looked like the edge got a little smushed or something. Let me see. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Looks like a little bit of, damage. Yeah, this card isn't quite as good, but I mean, it's definitely a PSA 8. Even with the off center, it's really off center in the back. But I mean, the corners are really, really crisp. Both really off center in the back. Look how skinny that line is on the right. Like super off center. And identical as far as the off centering goes in the back. Centering in the front, not so bad. This one's a little bit better. This one's a little bit thicker on the right. But they're both definitely PSA 8s or 9s, in my opinion. Once you get that dirt off, there's a lot of dirt and gunk. Alright, so let's try the 91% isopropyl. It's basically just going to do the same thing. It's just, I'm going to put these cards to the side and mark them. I mean, I have a pretty good memory on what I used. The classic craw worm. I mean, if water gets that off, isopropyl is definitely going to get that off. Yeah, I put a lot on there. Definitely don't want that much at first. Do like a swirling motion if it's not too close to the edge. If it's too close to the edge, I wouldn't risk that. I bring it more from the center out. Like you can see I already put too much moisture into that side. You can actually see like a moisture spot, and that's going to damage the card already. Like you basically want the tiniest amount of moisture on the tip, but there's just like the biggest, I don't know, I think water might have cleaned it better. It's just like a really big chunk of gunk that does not want to come out of there. No, isopropyl is looking like the worst. I just put a big old glob of it right on this border. And how's it not removing that? Pretty firm with it. Yeah, I think so far water and Windex have the best results. But that's what they say, like with isopropyl, like that, like the 75 or whatever it is, like 60-40, actually works better for cleaning. It depends what you're cleaning though. If it's something really sticky, the 91% is better. That is not really coming off that good. I mean, it's thinner. If I keep working at it, it'll come off for sure. That's the dry side now. Once it's already like kind of moist, you can kind of just work the dry side in there. Gotta say, I think that would come up better with water. I mean, it's a real struggle to get that up. Much water take it up like instantly. This is water. Totally soaked the whole border there. You can see it. That thing is soaked, but that came up pretty fast with the water. Yeah, water's the way to go, I think. That seems like the worst actually, because water is like so damaging, and isopropyl just dries up fast, like instantly, evaporates. But it's the most damaging. Like, let's put a drop of the isopropyl. Right on the color. Let's just put it right there. Let that sit there for a minute. It will change the color of the ink for sure. Let's put that to the side. Alright. Now we have another planes, and this one's all jacked up on the corner, or it's the most risky, which is basically how my underground seas are. So let's do the microfiber cloth this time, and tiniest little amount of distilled water on there, and it's not distilled, but spring water on there. Definitely want to use distilled if you have it. It's coming up like a charm. It just has the other planes behind it, just so you can kind of see it better. It's kind of hard to focus on that edge. It's definitely coming up. I actually like the microfiber cloth better, just because it's probably more scratch resistant, and you can feel the grime on your finger. Another thing is you don't want to use your nail in there. You want to have really short nails. If the nail is really strong, it can leave marks, like easier than you'd actually expect. But you can feel the grime on there, and you can feel it coming off. Like when you get it off of there, it's smoother. There's a bit more down here. Like, I think this is raised up a little bit here, and I think that was there before. Actually started cleaning the card. This time I just dipped a little bit of it in there. It's kind of hard to absorb water on these microfiber cloths, but you can see just a few drops. Put that moist spot on this little section here. Just being super gentle with it, not trying to apply a ton of pressure. And it's definitely coming up. Well, I think we know who the winner is on this one. The one I would pick anyway. It should just be water. A little bit of very light amount of distilled water. Have to have the right ratio down to where it's not totally soaked. You see that tiny little droplet I have? That's actually what you want to work with, and then like be on the safe side, you kind of just like smush it together to make sure it's like dispersed evenly. The edge is definitely the riskiest to work on, something that's this close to the straight edge of the stock, to where it doesn't have any coating on it. It's susceptible for all the water to just seep right in there. Now I'm using a lot more pressure because it doesn't want to come up that easily. Water, it's coming up. You just gotta like be really patient with it and like do that number like 100 times on it, unless you add like way more moisture, but I really wouldn't risk it with the edge, especially for something really expensive. I wouldn't even apply that much pressure. I'd be gentle with it, like from the center outwards. But you know what? Let's add a little bit more. Just another little droplet of water on this Q-tip here. It's probably more than a droplet. Yeah, that thing's pretty wet. Let me dry it off. Q-tip's pretty nice too, though, to kind of get in there precise for that kind of like pinpoint accuracy. And you definitely want to like dry it. Most of that came off. As you can see, you can basically be as thorough as you want with it, which you should be if you're sending it in to be graded. And this process will definitely take some patience and time. Using the least amount of moisture will take longer to get all that gunk up. But, I mean, it's like it's coming up, which is amazing. If you could do it to where you don't damage the card, that's what we're trying to achieve here. And command a higher value for the card, higher grade if you're just like gonna collect it, keep it in your collection. Would you want that thing to get like a 6 or a 9? And the surface can change a lot. I mean, they say CGC said centering is their biggest grade, which to me, that would not make the most difference. I think on a grading scale, it should be like surface and then corners and edges. Centering should be the last. I mean, I didn't even know anything about centering till recently, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's basically just how thick the borders are, how even they are on from top to bottom and left to right. I have a centering tool, but I don't even use it because it's pretty easy to just eyeball it and see if it's way off. Like a lot of this old stock is like way off in the centering. Actually, the planes is not bad, but like compare that to Underground Sea, where they're both my Underground Seas like are identical. How thin that right side is. All right, let's see what happened to our alcohol. You can see that's whoa. All right, well, it didn't do the kind of water damage that water would do, but it definitely changed the color on the paint. Because water would have, I'm surprised. For 9% water in there, it didn't do much. Water would definitely like raise it up. It would raise up the card some. Like we can do a sample of it on how water would look if you leave water on there too long, right next to the sample of the alcohol. Right there. Let's do a little bit more like how I did the alcohol. Really had a big droplet on there for the alcohol. There we go. That's similar to the alcohol droplet. Alright, it's been about 2 minutes. Water droplet's still there. I'm just going to wipe it off at this point. They're both kind of about the same. I don't know, the water droplet's definitely worse. It's kind of hard to see where the alcohol was, but you can see right there, it's the alcohol, and there's the water drop. There's the alcohol. There's the water droplet. Let's see how they look up close. I'm not even going to bother with the Windex, since I'm not going to use that. It's kind of hard to see, actually. Like, It's not bad as long as you get it fast enough, I guess. Kind of hard to see on camera. I don't know. That's kind of like the light test that you have to do in the sheen test. It's not bad actually, either of them. Just to show you, like, you probably go for a while with letting that water sit on there. The alcohol would just evaporate pretty fast for the top anyway. So all the risk is on the side. That's why the water gets absorbed into. There's no coating on the sides. Well, hopefully this video was informative and you'll get some use out of it. And don't blame me if you destroy your expensive cards. Don't try this at home, okay? And if you do try it at home and you turn that Black Lotus into a Gem Mint 10, you can just like cut me a little slice of that. We'll see. I'm probably gonna end up, if I'm sending these in, I'm definitely gonna clean them very gently, which I'll probably do one day. I've had them for so long though. I'm sure I cracked these out of a pack or just like won them off of a friend back in the day. These puppies are pretty pristine though. I mean, here's my other most expensive revised card, which is super crisp. There's no gunk on the sides. They're dual lands, which is pretty off center in the back too, it looks like. Like CGC will just include those little hairs in there. Like that just, I don't know what those are from, like the card shavings or something, like the little micro hairs. Like if I would have known that, I definitely would have cleaned it because that irritates me. I hate it when I get it inside. Any kind of like dust inside my one touches too, it just irritates me. For the corners are pretty crisp. There's a little dent on there. But besides that, it should get like a PSA 10. I don't know. Something looks like there's either dust or corner wear there or edge wear. And the corners are pretty crisp. There's a little something there I can see just with the naked eye. So maybe it's a PSA 9. Centering's way off at the top. Side, yeah, maybe it's a PSA 8. Alright, well, thanks for checking it out, and I'll catch you on the next one.